Jackie from Clompin' Stampers. I am so excited that you're joining me for my Timeless Textures online stamping class this month. This is one of my favorite sets, probably just because it makes great backgrounds and you can pair it with just about anything else. So let's get started with card number 1. We're doing a lot of collage stamping this time, which I know for some of you might be a little bit out of your element. So when I wrote the instructions too, it was kind of hard for me to tell you what stamp set or what stamp to use, because how do you describe them? It's not like a bird or a tree or a leaf. So I think I called this one the crosshatch pattern. It's the one with the little squares. So for card number 1, we're going to just start out and we are going to just use this one, and there is no perfect placement for this. Don't worry if it's not exactly like the sample, but I'm doing in I'll go that way. In 3 of the corners, we're just going ahead and putting some of these little squares like so. I'm hoping you can see that good on the video. Then after we did that one, I took, and this I called the flourish. I figured that was a good name for this one. And when I stamp these in the corners here, if you notice, I'm inking it up and then I'm going to stamp it once, and I do have it coming off the edge of the paper because we want everything, you know, coming off the edge here. I think it gives it a better look for when we layer this. But after I stamp it, I'm going to just twist it and turn it a little bit and stamp it again. So you get a couple of different shades in there. We're going to do the same thing over here. Stamp it one and turn it a little bit and stamp it twice. And then if you want to, you can do that on the third one. I think on mine, I just stamped this one once. You know, we don't, with the collage look, you don't want everything to be real consistent and uniform. So after I did that, then I just took the little splatter stamp and I used Soft Sky and I just put a few in here. Now notice I'm inking and stamp, 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 stamp until there's no more ink. Stamp, 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 stamp. Okay, and that gets you all the different shades and puts some dimension in your project. And that's about it for the collage part of this one. I use Congrats from the Bravo set. You can add whatever words you have on there and it's going to make a lovely card for you. Now if you don't happen to have the same color inks, really this card could be done in any color. Then in your packet, you have 3 of these little flowers. I am really sad to say this is a punch that is retired, although it's one that I'm not going to get rid of because I use it all the time. But a little trick for putting these flowers on, I like to just bend them, you know, a little bit to stress them so the leaves come up. But then I will use glue dots. See right there's a little glue dot. I can take my flower and just press it on there and it should pull up with the glue dot on the back of it. And then I can go ahead and press that down there. And then we're going to add rhinestones. Rhinestones, pearls, and dimensionals are what I call Stamper's Crack. I don't know which one's worse or better, I guess. But an easy way to put these in, because I know people struggle with them, I use my little paper piercer. You can use the tip of a scissors and you can just go under here and grab one and it sticks to that with the glue and then just place it down where you want it. And it makes it really easy for placing those. So card number 1. Okay, here we have card number 2. The stamping is quite similar in this one and we use the same colors, so I didn't have to clean them in between. So let's go ahead and work on that collage look, and we will use the little square crosshatch stamp again. Now this time we're going to just stamp it, what do I say, horizontal, vertical? Must be horizontal. But I'm going to start, you'll notice the edge of my stamp's off the edge of the paper, but I'm going to stamp, stamp, stamp. And each time I just moved it a little bit. We're going to come in here and I'm kind of going to the right and down. You can see my pattern going there. Again, no right or wrong. We just put a whole bunch of those in there. You can see the different shades. Then we'll go back to our flourish just like before. Now this time we're going to just make one go up. Okay, there we go. And then a second one come down and just about connect them because we're going to put our circle over it. And then, gotta love the splatters. Okay, put some of those in there again. Ink it up, stamp it a bunch of times. And there's our collage background. Now, let's talk about a couple other elements on this card. Our little black circle is embossed, and I know we've embossed in our classes quite often, but I know some of you are new, so we're gonna do a quick embossing lesson. You really, when you're using a colored powder, okay, white powder, you really want to use the embossing buddy. This will make sure you don't get stray pieces of powder anyway. So step 1, we're going to just rub our little piece with this. Now, this is the stamp from Tin of Cards. Okay, you can see how much this one's well used and well loved, how much I've used it. But we want to use Versamark ink because that's what our embossing powder will stick to. So ink that up good, and we're going to just stamp it on there. It's photopolymer, so I can see really easily where I'm going. And then we will take our white embossing powder. I like to keep mine in just this little Tupperware container because it's real easy to cover it up, dump it on, flip it over, let all the excess fall in there, and hopefully you don't have any strays on there. You can blow on it a little bit if you have to, and then you just heat it up with your heat tool. And I'm not going to take your time doing that, plus it's noisy on the video. So we'll make believe it's all heated up, and that will give us our nice embossed image on there. We already talked about the flower and the rhinestone, but you see the little gold cording on here? I want to talk about that. And I know I've done that in a couple of videos lately, but in case you missed them, we're going to take the back of our circle and put some adhesive on it. My new favorite adhesive is the Fast Fuse. Let's put just a couple pieces on there. And then what we're going to do is take our gold thread, and I am going to just wrap it around my hand here. And just go around a few times, however long it is. I guess we'll go around about that many. Pull it off, and that gives us this nice little circle-ish. And we're going to just take it and stick it on there. It'll stick right to that Fast Fuse. You can play around and adjust it if you want to. If you don't like the tails, move them in. It sticks right to that. And now, make believe this one's embossed. It's ready to stick on there with some dimensionals, that other Stampers crack that I was talking about. But that's how easy. For a long time, I avoided that gold thread. It kind of intimidated me, but super simple. Go ahead and put your card together, and there's card number 2. And here we have card number 3. This is probably the simplest, but I wanted to give you a super easy example of what you can do with this stamp set, because you can use absolutely any greeting on here. I use the one from Fabulous 4. This is a stamp set that is retiring, so if you like these greetings and don't have them, make sure you get it before the end of the month. But I just have, I think this is 1.25 inches here, and again we're going to use our square or crosshatch stamp, and all I did was I just used this to cover this piece to give it a nice background. I inked it up each time, so it's about the same, and they can overlap a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Go ahead and stamp your words on there, and then stick these two together. Okay, remember you always stamp first, then adhere them together, because if I would have goofed on my stamping, 2 sides to every piece of paper, so I could have easily flipped it over. So we'll put that on there, and then emboss this. I use the wood grain. You can use any embossing folder. It'll look fabulous with this one. But before you adhere it to the card base, what you want to do is take this piece and adhere it down at an angle. And once it's on there, then you can take either your scissors or your paper cutter, and trying to hold it without gluing it, and flip it over and just trim this so it's nice along the edges. Add your linen thread around it, and then go ahead and put it together. And that's simple. Card number 3. Okay, card number 4. I think this is my favorite of all of them. And notice I didn't put a greeting on here. Sometimes it's nice to just have a note card with no greeting on it, but you could certainly add any type of words on this one that you want. So again, we've got a collage look going. So by now, hopefully you're starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with this. This one we have we'll call it the dotted image. And again, it's kind of like a border stamp. So we're going to just stamp it once going up, and then we'll stamp it a second time going across like so. And then I took my flourishes, and once again, and I do this so much with this collage stamping because you want these different shades, we're going to ink it and stamp, stamp, stamp until I don't have any more ink coming off of that. If you want a little bit more in there, kind of move it up, and we'll stamp a couple more times. We'll do the same thing coming down, and we'll do a little bit over here. So you're just kind of filling it in. You see that on there? And then, of course, we got to add the splatters. Oh, I should tell you, this was soft suede we used, and now we're using the crumb cake. So we'll just kind of splatter it randomly all over here. Again, we're going to ink and stamp, 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 stamp. They look pretty much the same. Remember, with collage stamping, they're never going to look exactly the same. You're never going to get 2 that look exactly alike. So we do that, and then you have your butterflies. If you had your own butterflies die, I just sent you scrap. Otherwise, I cut them out for you. Now, to get the little linen thread down, this time, instead of putting adhesive on the back of the circle like we did before, I kind of made this into a circle. And I just set it on here, and you can adjust it and play around and get it to sit however you want. Again, no magic, doesn't have to be perfect. And then I took my butterfly and I put quite a bit of adhesive on this back one so that when I stuck it down, it stuck to the cardstock as well as to the linen thread to hold it in there. And then the top butterfly, I just put some adhesive in the center of it so that the wings could flap up, and added a few rhinestones, and card number 4 is done. Hope you're enjoying this style. It's different compared to a lot of things we've done in the past. So one more card. Here we go with card number 5. I know I said card number 4 was my favorite, but I don't know. It might be a toss-up. I really like the looks of this one as well. Again, we're going to do some more collage stamping on here. Now, in your packet, if you don't have the botanicals framelits, I cut those out for you, so you'll have that in there. Also, a couple of pieces to make your banner. You can either use a triple banner punch to do that, or just use your scissors. And once again, we're embossed in white. So you will also have 2 pieces of white. Make sure you're stamping on your smaller piece, because we're actually layering white on white, and you get the nice border on there. So make sure you have the small piece. Now this one, we're going to use a stamp we have not used yet. And I don't know what the heck to call you this one. You can see how it's very random, the edge on this. And I'm using this to almost get a sponging look. Okay, you can see it. I went along the bottom and the left. But once again, we are going to do a whole bunch of inking and stamp, 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 stamp. So we're going to just stamp, 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 stamp. See how we get those different shades going in there? And we'll do the same thing. And you just, now remember, it's never going to look alike. But we want that color going just like so. And then we're going to take Island Indigo this time. This one just has a really rich look. So we'll put several of these. Now make sure on a couple of them, stamp them a few times to get some different shades. I guess I didn't down here. We can still add some in there like so. And then I think I took the dotted one. Now remember, they never turn out alike, so I don't even know what I all did, to be honest. I'm pretty sure this is what I did on mine. Just kind of filled it in with a bunch of dots. But then to brighten it up, we're going to take, this almost looks like a tire track, I guess, would be a good way to describe this one. And let's add some yellow in there. And seriously, these cards look like a total mess. Just kind of fill it in. But by the time we put our little piece of doily and some banner in there and the flower on it, it has a stunning look. So that's card number 5. I hope you have loved this Timeless Treasure stamp set as much as I have, and that you use it a lot. And as you can see, you can add it with so many different greetings and embellishments or whatever you have. So thank you so much for joining me either in my Stamps in the Mail Club or just as an online class, and I hope I get to see you in the mail again. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to help you any way that I can. Have a stamp happy day.